There are moments when reality seems to fail. Not with noise, not with violence, but in silence. Moments when the world remains exactly as it has always been, and yet one person simply stops being part of it. On winter nights, in remote places, silence is not just the absence of sound. It is a presence. It has weight. It watches. On February 9th, 2004, an ordinary road in the mountains of New Hampshire became the center of one of the most disturbing absences in recent American history. Route 112 crosses dense forests, sharp curves, and regions where phones do not work, light does not reach, and winter erases any human trace in minutes. That night, this road swallowed a name: Maura Murray. Maura was 21 years old. She was a nursing student. She lived an ordinary life, full of small pressures, small mistakes, and unfinished plans. Nothing about her seemed to announce a disappearance. That afternoon, she left Massachusetts driving north, without explanations, without goodbyes, without telling anyone exactly where she was going. The White Mountains are not a winter destination for someone traveling alone without a plan. They are cold, isolated, unpredictable. Every mile she drove did not only take her farther from the cities, but farther from any possible help. She was driving toward a place where the world becomes quieter. And sometimes, silence is final. We do not know what Maura was thinking as she drove. We do not know what thoughts followed her along that dark road. We only know that she was carrying more than clothes and a few personal items. 2 days earlier, something had happened. An emotional breakdown at work, a phone call, only a few words. My sister. After that, she lied to her professors. She said there had been a death in the family. She said she would be away for a few days. None of that was true. Or maybe it was a truth that only existed for her. As the car moved forward on the icy road, civilization stayed behind. Gas stations, houses, lights. In their place, only dry trees and dangerous curves. It was a trip without witnesses, and perhaps without return. At 7:27 in the evening, 1. The curve known as Weathered Barn does not forgive tired or distracted drivers. The asphalt was covered by a thin, almost invisible layer of ice. Maura's car lost control. There was no time to correct it. The impact was dry, short, the kind of sound that does not echo but interrupts. A local resident heard the noise of metal against snow and wood. His name was Butch Atwood, a retired school bus driver who lived nearby. He went outside and saw the car. He saw Maura. She was standing, conscious, talking. She did not seem seriously injured. He asked if she needed help. She said no. She said she had already called for assistance, but there was no cell phone signal there. He offered to call the police. She refused. There was something in that refusal, something difficult to explain, as if she was more afraid of trouble than of the accident itself. Butch went back inside anyway. He decided to call the police himself. It took only a few minutes, maybe less than 10. But in some stories, 10 minutes are more than enough. When the police arrived at 7:46 in the evening, something was wrong. The car was still there. The hazard lights were on. The engine was off. The airbag had deployed. Inside the vehicle, there were signs that someone had been there moments before. A box of wine had broken, spilling liquid inside the car. Some personal items were still on the seat. The doors were locked, but Maura was not there. The road was empty. No one walking, no car passing, no voice calling for help. The snow kept falling slowly, covering whatever had existed there before. It was like entering a room just after someone turns off the light and realizing that no one is there anymore. The officers looked around. They called her name. There was no answer. They examined the road, then the edge of the forest, and then they noticed something that made everything even stranger. The snow around the car was almost untouched. There were marks near the vehicle, normal marks, confused marks, but there were no footprints going down the road, none entering the forest, none following the shoulder. There was no path, there was no direction, there was nothing. Anyone who has ever walked on fresh snow knows what this means. Every step leaves a trace. But that night, there was no trace at all. It was as if Maura had simply stopped occupying space. That same night, the searches began. At first, in a simple way. Officers walking near the road, looking between the trees, calling a name that did not answer. Then, more people arrived, more flashlights, more voices. The forest around Route 112 is not kind. In winter, it does not forgive mistakes. The cold does not negotiate. The snow does not wait. If Maura had gone in there without proper clothes, without equipment, without direction, her chances would have been small. But even so, nothing. No sign of struggle, no piece of clothing, no object left behind. The forest remained closed, as if it had never been crossed. Days later, they brought search dogs, animals trained to follow old, weak, almost invisible scents. They started at the car. They smelled the seats, the steering wheel, the doors. Then they followed the road. For a few meters, everything seemed normal, and then the trail simply stopped. The dogs became confused. They walked in circles. They tried again. Nothing. Maura's scent ended there, near the asphalt, as if she had entered another vehicle, or as if she had stopped existing at that exact point. For experienced investigators, this is not normal. For those who understand tracking, this is disturbing. The searches continued for days, then for weeks. Helicopters flew over the region. Volunteers walked for miles. The forest was divided into sectors. Each area was examined. Nothing. No body, no backpack, no real clue. Over time, the case began to change its shape. From a search for a lost person to an investigation of an absence. Maura Murray was nowhere. And sometimes that is more frightening than finding her. The years passed. The road remained. The curve remained. The trees kept growing in silence. But Maura never came back. Her name became part of files, of reports, of internet forums, of endless discussions. What happened that night became a question without an owner, a blank space in the middle of reality. Route 112 is still there, but Maura Murray remains lost between 2 of February, 2004. Maybe she found a path that does not exist on any map. Or maybe, on very cold nights, she is still there, waiting for someone to finally look into the darkness. If you ever drive on an empty road at night, look in the rear-view mirror. What you see might be the way back, or just the void that was left behind.